The House GOP's push to impeach President Biden is falling apart. Republicans were hoping this week's private testimony from Hunter Biden would be the silver bullet in their quest to prove his father benefited from his financial dealings. Instead, he never once pleaded the fifth and offered a point-by-point rebuttal of the allegations leveled against his father. Even the MAGAverse is admitting Hunter came out looking good in the hearing.
When the transcript comes out, it's going to read well for him because they did a great job prepping for a read.
Wow. It was another embarrassing defeat for House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer, who rose to prominence in the party as someone who insisted that he was going to stick it to the president one way or the other. In fact, he made over 200 appearances on Fox last year and raised over $1 million on the promise he'd get the goods on the Biden. But a year later, Comer has nothing to show for it. No silver bullet, no star witnesses, nothing. And you'll remember the GOP's witness, former FBI informant Alexander Smirnov. Well, he is currently in jail for falsely claiming Biden and his son Hunter took bribes. The very same lie that Republicans built their entire case on. Democratic Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi of Illinois sits on the House Oversight Committee. He joins me now. He has had to endure a lot of this from just being on that committee. I hope you get hazard pay, Congressman. I don't know if you get hazard pay in Congress, but I certainly hope you get hazard pay for having to put up with all of this over the last 2 years or so. How badly did this backfire on Republicans, sir?
It didn't go well. And actually, during the deposition, it was clear that Hunter Biden was prepared. He came off as credible. I think probably his strongest moments were when he, quite frankly, acknowledged his own flaws as an individual. And we all know about those. But he was very strong in explaining himself. And I thought that there was not one shred of evidence that was revealed implicating his father. And that's really what this is all about. It's going after President Biden. And yet, once again, they failed. And as you mentioned, the quote-unquote star witness, the key Republican source behind an affidavit claiming that President Biden had received bribes, was himself perjuring himself on an affidavit, and he was indicted criminally by the FBI for lying to them.
Interestingly enough, Comer went on Fox after the hearing saying it was very damaging for Hunter Biden. No surprise that he was going to say that. But interestingly, and this is according to your colleague, Congressman Eric Swalwell, Comer actually left early, didn't even ask any questions. How would he know it was damaging if he wasn't even there for most of it?
Maybe he read the transcript after the fact. I don't know. I'm not really sure how he could ascertain that. But I don't blame him for leaving. It was boring. It didn't reveal anything. And it was particularly rich when Matt Gaetz starts questioning Hunter Biden about his illegal drug use. It's just a waste of time. And as you know, this is in stark contrast to the work that the GOP should be doing, which is passing a budget to fund the government. We're again facing a looming shutdown on Friday of next week. And so instead of doing the hard work of funding the government or funding aid to Ukraine and other big priorities, they're wasting time on this impeachment.
What is the point of continuing this? What do they have to gain? He wants to keep holding public hearings despite the fact that this case has completely melted away.
I don't know. I think that every time they do any kind of hearing or any kind of, event, it seems to backfire. It seems to just, as Tommy Lauren, the Fox News contributor, said the other day, it keeps falling flat, and they need to stop.
The other elephant in the room, sir, is certainly with the GOP's impeachment push, is their shrinking majority. Now that Democratic Congressman Tom Suozzi has been sworn in to replace George Santos, they can only afford to lose 2 votes if they bring this case to the House floor. Considering they barely were able to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, do you see them being able to pull this off against Joe Biden?
I don't think so. And I know a bunch of my colleagues on the other side privately tell me that this is a big waste of time. Obviously, Ken Buck and others have publicly said this is a big waste of time. And again, At the last, I guess their only impeachment hearing that they've had back in September, their expert witness actually said there is no evidence of impeachable conduct. And so when you have that type of evidence, or lack of evidence, I should say, it just causes more and more, I think, Republicans to want this whole thing to go away.
Congressman, switching gears real quickly, earlier we saw Vice President Kamala Harris say there is an offer for a 6-week ceasefire in Gaza on the table. Some of the sharpest comments yet from a senior administration official about the humanitarian catastrophe unfolding in Gaza. Your reaction to the comments from the Vice President?
I think the parties have to seize on that offer and accept. We got to have that halt in hostilities right now. The hostages have to be released. Massive humanitarian aid needs to be flowing into Gaza. I don't care what you call it, whether it's a ceasefire, a truce, a halt in hostilities. We have to have that because civilians are suffering and people are dying. I'm glad that the Biden administration is now airdropping food aid, but that's not going to be enough. You need to have aid flowing through trucks, which can take a lot more in than airdrops. Finally, I'll just say, I've been helping to lead, along with a couple others, the notion that the two-state solution must be simultaneously negotiated, even at the same time that we're talking about this pause in hostilities or this end to hostilities, wide-scale hostilities, because if there's no light at the end of the tunnel, we're just going to keep going through this endless cycle of violence, and we can't afford that anymore.
Well, let me ask you about that since you brought it up, but how does that work when you have a prime minister of Israel who is boasting and saying there will be no Palestinian state so long as he remains in office? He boasts about it, and members of his own cabinet right now, some of the more extreme ones, deny the existence of a Palestinian state and certainly don't want to see the creation of a Palestinian state. On one hand, you have that. And on the other hand, you have an American administration that is not willing to use any of its leverage, not only to deal with the crises on the ground with trying to get more aid into Gaza, but actually to try to get the Israeli government to recommit to previous agreements and to a two-state solution.
Look, I'm deeply distressed about Bibi Netanyahu's leadership is probably an understatement. But for that matter, Hamas is not willing to acknowledge a two-state solution. I think at the end of the day, whether it's the Egyptians, the Saudis, of course, us as Americans, the Qataris and others are going to have to bring people to the table and say, look, this is what you get in return for a two-state solution. And what the Israelis want deeply, deeply is a regional peace. They want the Saudis to ultimately recognize them and to have a longer-term agreement. But I don't think the Saudis or anyone is going to allow that to happen unless there's a two-state solution. And certainly that's our position as well.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, it's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate it, as always.
Thank you, sir.